Have you ever wondered why the moment you step back, the person you're chasing seems magnetically drawn toward you? It's not magic or mere chance, it's a profound psychological mechanism. Feelings magnify when fears subside. In this video, we'll uncover the secret that makes dismissive avoidants fall harder whenever you give them space. You'll discover why every distance you create isn't an ending, but the beginning of a more genuine, deeper connection. Beyond dissecting attachment theory through a modern polyvagal lens, I'll share real-life scenarios, vivid examples, and concrete steps to help you maintain your boundaries while cultivating irresistible allure. Whether you're seeking to keep the spark alive in a new relationship or heal old wounds, this video holds the key to transforming stagnation into secure bonding. Hit subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss these powerful psychological strategies. Stick around until the very end, and you'll walk away not only with the insight to read avoidant behavior, but also practical tools to build a balanced, mutually respectful relationship. Get ready to listen, empathize, and rebuild connection because you deserve to be loved fully and authentically. In many households that seem perfectly provided for, a child may still grow up with a vast, empty space in their heart, a space where empathy appears to have never existed. Parents might meticulously ensure every material need is met. Delicious meals laid out on the table, scheduled tutoring sessions, brand new clothes bought on a whim, yet they lack the habit of genuinely listening when their child shares worries or sadness. Whenever the little one bursts into tears over disappointment, instead of being comforted, they hear admonishments like, "Don't make such a fuss," or "Kids shouldn't cry so much." The parent's awkward gaze when confronted with these raw emotions sends an unspoken message. Expressing one's inner feelings is shameful, a weakness that must be buried deep. Over time, the child learns to handle emotions alone. They laugh in isolation when happy, withdraw silently into a corner when sad, and cling to a pillow in solitary frustration when angry. All these feelings accumulate into an invisible mountain inside them, too heavy to share, yet impossible to let go. During adolescence, when peers discuss their moods, romantic entanglements, or academic stresses, they look upon this child with distant curiosity. Because the child reveals so little, it is at this moment that the emotional self begins to detach from the body, becoming a foreign entity that observes the world through a detached, barren lens, forgetting how to ask, "What am I feeling?" or "What do I need?" Every intense surge of emotion is suppressed beneath the cold steel armor of extreme self-reliance, an invisible shield that protects against injury, yet also isolates them from themselves and others. As they mature, recollections of meals devoid of heartfelt conversation and the averted eyes when they confessed sorrow imprint upon their subconscious the belief that true love always comes with emotional condemnation. This belief plants a profound fear in every avoidant, the fear of exposing one's vulnerabilities, the dread that each step toward deep connection means risking further internal humiliation. And so they step back, they grow silent, observing from afar, telling themselves that the less I depend, the less I suffer. Yet beneath that sturdy facade lies a tiny child yearning to be seen, understood, and told. Your emotions are not wrong. You deserve to be heard. Only when they encounter someone patient and safe enough to extend a gentle invitation do they dare unfreeze their dormant feelings, like a flower blooming under the sun after a harsh storm. Having understood that childhood neglect planted deep-seated fears of emotional connection, we now turn to the way an avoidant's nervous system protects them from perceived emotional threats. This is the feelings minus fears mechanism. In Dr. Stephen Porges's Polyvagal theory, the autonomic nervous system comprises two main branches, the sympathetic, fight or flight, and the parasympathetic, which itself divides into the ventral vagal, safety signals, and the dorsal vagal, shutdown signals. Avoidant individuals frequently oscillate between sympathetic activation when they feel threatened and primed to fight or flee, and dorsal vagal collapse, where they turn off their feelings and retreat into isolation. Whenever an intimate relationship deepens, they experience overwhelm symptoms, a racing heart and rapid breathing, or conversely, total numbness and bodily paralysis when dorsal vagal dominates. In those moments, every gesture of warmth or comfort becomes an invisible pressure cage, squeezing their heart. To save themselves, they must unplug, that is, withdraw and maintain distance, ceasing emotional engagement. This is the minus fears side. Fear overwhelms and severs emotional flow. Conversely, when given a respite, enough space for fear to recede, allowing dorsal vagal to subside and ventral vagal to partly restore avoidance, can fully embrace their feelings. They return with passionate eyes, sweeter words, and unexpected closeness that leaves you bewildered. For the preceding silence, let fear abate and emotions surge more powerfully than ever. To visualize this, imagine the relationship as a building held up by 4 pillars: the intellectual pillar, the physical pillar, the sexual pillar, and the emotional pillar. For an avoidant, the intellectual and physical pillars feel safest because they carry minimal risk of deep emotional injury. They can comfortably debate theories or enjoy physical closeness, like hugging and hand-holding, so long as it remains controlled and doesn't demand deep emotional disclosure. In contrast, the sexual and especially the emotional pillars harbor danger, triggering memories of vulnerability met with rejection and judgment. Thus, whenever the relationship lightly touches the emotional pillar through a conversation about sadness or a confession of fear, they feel as though they've entered hostile territory. They must choose to proceed and risk reopening old wounds, or to step back and preserve temporary safety. Most often, they choose retreat. Yet, understanding how they shut down and razzle-dazzle their emotions is key to meeting them effectively. By accepting their rhythm of withdrawal and re-engagement, you can forge an unspoken pact. When they need to step back, you won't cling desperately, but you remain ready to receive their genuine emotions when they resurface. You won't interpret distance as final rejection, but as a pause for recalibration. In doing so, feelings minus fears ceases to be a sorrowful loop and instead becomes a cycle that strengthens the bond. Fear retreats, feelings rise, connection deepens, and the process repeats until their ventral vagal system grows strong enough to stay anchored in safety, even when the relationship boldly engages the emotional pillar. Now that we've grasped this on-off emotional rhythm, we'll explore how to balance the need for independence and connection, crafting a safe space for both partners, and nurturing long-term relationship growth. Having grasped the on-off rhythm of the feelings minus fears mechanism, and seen how gentle distance can soothe fears to let emotions flourish, we now delve into a striking paradox. The deeper the intimacy, the stronger the avoidance fear, creating a self-sabotaging cycle within the relationship. As emotional bonds strengthen from heartfelt messages and cozy meetups to sweet "good morning" texts, the avoidant starts sensing an invisible pressure. This pressure does not originate from you but from within them, a subconscious alarm proclaiming, closeness equates to vulnerability. Every "I miss you" or "what's on your mind" is perceived as a warning signal, awakening old memories of expressing feelings only to be judged, shamed, and abandoned. Their heart races, yet their mind and feet instinctively recoil, seeking to flee this perceived danger zone. As trust deepens, fear escalates exponentially, triggering a cascade of defense responses, suddenly canceling plans, replying to texts with ever-increasing delays, or disappearing into silence for hours to self-preserve. They automatically engage their protective mechanism, withdrawing from the shared space, only to wonder afterward why they let genuine moments slip away. Indeed, the closer they move in, the more acutely they recognize the risk of heartbreak, and survival instinct compels them to retreat. Thus, the relationship cycles through proximity and distance, distance and proximity again, exhausting both partners and leaving them drained, puzzled, and disheartened. On your side, the patient one, you often feel confused, questioning your own worth, wondering if you've done something wrong or set expectations too high. Torn between expressing affection and guarding against abandonment, you swing in emotional limbo. You crave closeness, longing to embrace them. Yet when they step back, you instinctively withdraw to shield yourself. Thus, you both become trapped in an unceasing vortex. Exhilaration gives way to disappointment, hope to despair. Conversely, whenever you grant them space, not as indifference, but as respect for their need for independence, you'll witness the opposite reaction. Fear subsides and emotion surges. The avoidant begins to recall your voice, your smile, your gaze. They rekindle connection through a simple question, a gentle touch, or an unexpected late-night conversation. In that moment, they concede that the previous distance was not final rejection, but a stepping stone to build safety. However, if this near-far cycle repeats too often, it will wear down your trust and endurance. Without conscious awareness of the underlying mechanism, you risk chasing their emotional tide and losing yourself in the process. So how do you harness the positive power of this cycle? The key lies in calmly holding your ground, never forcing connection when they feel overwhelmed, while proactively fostering safety through sincere compliments, small caring gestures that honor their space, and candid dialogues about both partners' needs. In this way, the near-far cycle need not be an adversary. When fully understood and skillfully navigated, it becomes a milestone for both partners to recognize each other's boundaries, gradually expanding mutual safety zones. The next phase of intimacy then unfolds, not as a fear-triggering shock, but as an opportunity for both of you to step into the emotional pillar with greater confidence. Having illuminated the tug-of-war between desire and fear, we will now explore how extreme self-reliance can transform into a new source of strength, autonomy within connection, to break the self-sabotage cycle and build a balanced, healthy relationship. Reason number 2. Extreme self-reliance. Having navigated the clash between desire and fear, we now explore one of an avoidant's deepest defense mechanisms, extreme self-reliance, or hyper-independence. Contrary to the longing for connection, hyper-independence is the invisible armor they donned in childhood to shield their heart from further harm. When faced with the prospect of sharing needs, they respond by denial. "I'm fine on my own. I can handle everything." Or, "I don't want to be a burden." These inner mantras are not signs of overconfidence, but internal alarms warning that acknowledging needs invites pain. Consequently, refusing help, avoiding emotional sharing, or tackling all challenges alone becomes their way of controlling the perceived level of risk. From a developmental psychology perspective, hyper-independence stems from memories of help or comfort they once sought but never received. A child rushing to a parent with tears might have been met with silence or a cold reassessment. After enough such experiences, their subconscious adopted an unwritten rule: if I need nothing, I will never be abandoned. As they matured, this became habitual. They avoid confiding in others when stressed, refrain from seeking advice, and favor self-sufficiency. Modern neurophysiology links hyperindependence to suppression of the ventral vagal pathway, the neural highway for safety and social engagement. When an avoidant isolates, they inadvertently block signals of safety from others, preventing ventral vagal activation. Instead, they heighten sympathetic activity, fight or flight, to preserve absolute control. Even in a romantic relationship, they feel safest when every aspect is within their grasp, from scheduling dates to limiting emotional disclosures. Although this behavior offers a temporary sense of stability, it simultaneously distances them from themselves and their partner. You may notice this when they decline an invitation to share your feelings, even as their eyes betray a silent yearning to be understood. Here, hyperindependence reveals itself as a barrier to genuine communication. Yet, recognizing it not as deliberate cruelty but self-protection allows you to respond with patience and respect. The key lies in gently de-escalating hyperindependence. Rather than rushing them to open up at the first sign of hesitation, begin with lighthearted topics, shared hobbies, accomplishments they take pride in, or future plans that don't delve into deep emotion. Gradually, encourage acknowledgement of smaller needs, a genuine compliment, a cozy dinner, or simply watching a film together, letting them lead in expressing feelings. Each time they dare to open up, their ventral vagal strengthens, laying the groundwork for intrinsic safety. This is the transformational journey, from a hyper-independent individual terrified of needing anyone to a partner, gradually discovering the value of sharing and co-managing stress. Having begun dismantling the wall of extreme self-reliance, we move into the final theme: unmet needs for empathy, and how you can become a secure presence, guiding an avoidant to let down barriers and fully engage the emotional pillar. Reason number 3. Unmet need for empathy. After gradually dismantling the wall of hyperindependence and reconnecting basic senses of safety, we explore the third deep-rooted drive, the unmet need to be seen, understood, and validated that the avoidant carries from childhood. They long not just for material provision at home, but for a space where their voice is heard. Tears aren't hastily shushed away. and confusion or doubt is met with genuine empathy. The absence of this nurturing in early development leaves a void that echoes, "I shared, but no one truly cared." From wanting to talk about school challenges to feeling overwhelmed by a chaotic world, they often met only silence or a cold, dismissive remark. Every attempt at consolation that lacked warmth, every judgmental comment, reinforced the lesson that emotions are burdensome. Oh, entering a romantic relationship, the avoidant brings memories of emotional emptiness. They crave a patient gaze that penetrates their interior world, a gentle touch to melt their defenses, and authentic words to affirm their internal story. Yet, habituated to self-reliance, they fear becoming a burden. Thus, the moment you reach their emotional pillar with a simple, "How are you feeling today?" an unexpected hug, or honest sharing of sorrow, they feel disoriented, but their heart quietly sparks with hope. This first touch has tremendous power. When you respond with warmth and say, "I understand you," they shed their defenses and let feelings flow. That is why, when empathy is genuinely extended, avoidants can fall hard because they realize, perhaps for the first time, that someone truly wants to understand them. Imagine a canvas where every confession, every sorrow, and every tear is received without haste to fix or judge. In that safe space, the avoidant dares to reveal their darkest secrets, the loneliness echoing in late-night hours, dreams snuffed out by emotional isolation, and the yearning for a shoulder to lean on. When you place your hand on their shoulder with the message, "I'm here, you're not alone," you deliver the greatest gift, validation of their emotional self. No grand gestures are needed, just a moment of deep eye contact to say, "You are allowed to feel." Over time, defenses give way to genuine connection. Through this see, understand, validate process, avoidants learn to trust in a secure love story. Opening up doesn't equal suffering, and they can rely on another without fear of judgment. When their need for empathy is fulfilled, they don't just cling to safe distance but step into deeper emotional territory, knowing someone is there to catch them. That is why each heartfelt reassurance, caring question, or empathetic acknowledgement can warm an avoidant's heart, igniting a powerful, lasting, falling hard. With the three foundational reasons uncovered: extreme self-reliance, the feelings minus fears mechanism, and unmet empathy needs, we will now summarize actionable steps to establish safety, from maintaining healthy boundaries to becoming a secure haven that encourages the avoidant to not only open up but stay invested in the relationship. Having thoroughly explored the three core drivers, the feelings minus fears mechanism, extreme self-reliance, and unmet empathy needs, we now turn to practical application, building a secure attachment strategy where both partners feel safe and respected. First, establish an honest and equitable dialogue by acknowledging the avoidant's need for independence up front. Instead of demanding, "Share all your feelings with me," try saying, "I understand you sometimes need space to feel comfortable. I respect that, and I'm here whenever you're ready." Recognizing their need for personal space relieves pressure, assuring them they won't lose control or be forced. Next, don't hesitate to express your own needs. A balanced relationship cannot be built on one-sided sacrifice. You might share, "I need to know when we'll spend quality time together because it helps me feel connected." This statement isn't about negating their independence, but simply clarifying mutual boundaries. You deserve to be heard and cared for as well. Crucially, use I language rather than you language. For example, "I need," instead of "you must," to avoid sounding accusatory and triggering defensive reactions. Once both independence and connection needs are laid side by side, collaboratively seek reasonable compromises. You can co-create an emotional agreement with flexible terms. For example, 2 structured dates per week, one dedicated to deep conversation and one devoted to leisure activities like a picnic or movie night. During the deep conversation, both partners share feelings or challenges. During leisure time, the goal is to simply enjoy each other's company without requiring profound emotional disclosure. When compromises are clearly defined and detailed, they serve as a reference framework so both know when to approach and when to pause. Additionally, implement a regular check-in practice. Schedule a brief 5-10-minute session each week to assess whether you both feel safe and comfortable with the interaction frequency and level of emotional sharing. During this check-in, pose open-ended questions like, "How did you feel when I reached out more often recently?" Or, could you share if you need more space or would like more closeness? Listen non-judgmentally, acknowledge every viewpoint, and be ready to adjust your initial agreement as needed. Reconfirming your commitment to mutual respect and attentive listening builds long-term safety, strengthening their ventral vagal system over time. Finally, cultivate a shared personal space. Periods when you both engage in separate activities within the same environment. For instance, you might sit side by side reading books at a cafe, each absorbed in your own volume, or work independently together in the living room. This shared but independent space allows the avoidant to enjoy proximity without pressure, and you sense their gentle presence. As you both experience this form of coexisting, they gradually understand that sharing physical space doesn't necessarily require immediate emotional disclosure. Thus, the secure solution isn't merely a set of specific actions, but a mutual stance of respect. You empathize with and permit their independence while affirming your own needs in the relationship. In this way, the avoidant feels safe to gradually engage their emotional pillar, no longer compelled to shut down at the sign of pressure. Together, you find a balanced rhythm between distance and closeness, independence and connection, laying the foundation for a sustainable, fulfilling relationship. From uncovering the childhood wounds at the root of avoidant dynamics to exploring the feelings minus fears, mechanism, extreme self-reliance, and unmet empathy needs, we have charted a clear roadmap for transforming avoidant relationships into safe, authentic, and lasting bonds. By acknowledging your partner's need for independence while clearly expressing your own need for connection, you establish an unspoken contract of mutual boundaries and respect. Through honest dialogue, flexible compromise, and peaceful co-presence, you not only foster trust but also fortify each other's internal safety systems. Remember, building a secure attachment is a journey, not a destination. There will be moments requiring patience, instances to adjust your agreements, and times to take a step back to rebalance. Yet, it is precisely through this process that you grant both yourself and your partner the opportunity to grow, to engage the deepest emotional pillar together, and to cultivate a truly dependable connection. If you found these strategies valuable, please subscribe, like, and share so we can spread the message of secure love. Share your story in the comments. Every experience is a precious lesson on the path to wholehearted connection.